usually there's like a little glitch thing at the beginning. So,
Sweet.
all right, Cullen, do you want to do intro?
Sure.
All right, ready whenever you are.
Welcome to the BlackSheep Podcast. Today we have Mackenzie from the Drawn Out, Colorado band, right?
Yep,
Yeah. Are you in Colorado right now?
I am. Denver.
You
Yeah.
are. Awesome. Great. So we are not from Colorado, but we came across you guys and we really, really like what you guys have going on. And I think that your guys' music is super enjoyable for just about everybody. You
Mm-hmm.
guys have something for everybody. So, Mackenzie, how are
Yes.
you doing today?
Good. Pretty good. I have two little kids, and
Hey, there you
we
go.
we just kind of hung out at home today. It was a really chill day. It was nice.
Heck yeah. Is
So
school out yet?
almost next week. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
I'm homeschooling them, so I'm pumped. I cannot wait.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I am.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I.
does your school ever get out? Then is the question.
That's true.
All right. It does get out. I'm giving us a summer vacation. I'm like,
Heck
I'm
yeah.
not. I cannot. Yeah. I gotta take a break.
Well, what are you guys going to do on summer vacation here?
Um, we don't really have a ton planned at the moment.
Are you
We're going to
going on tour
California.
or anything like that?
No, we're doing just like shows around Denver.
Okay.
You know, touring with little kids is tricky, so
I
we're
can
just
imagine so.
planning on staying local for now. Going to like Colorado Springs and Fort Collins, but local-ish.
Heck yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah,
Sick. Well, I mean, Colorado is always a good time, and so I would imagine being like a kid who's being homeschooled in Colorado. I'm sure you guys like aren't literally homeschooling every day in the mountains, but like it would be fun to like,
I wish.
all right, field trip, kids, we're
Yes,
going to the mountains.
let's go. There are some days like that. When my mom homeschooled me and all my siblings, and she would do that. She'd just be like, okay, we got to get out of the house. So
Yeah,
we're going to go we're going to go take a field trip to the lake or something.
that's like
That's great.
that's like the mom's version, like the homeschool mom version of wheeling in a TV cart and being like, all right, kids, Bill Nye today. I give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly right.
you just go out and explore. I can't. I'm done.
Love that. Great. Well,
Exactly.
let's talk about the Drawn Out.
Yeah.
So I know you guys started like almost a decade ago, but like you
Yeah.
really have more consistently been putting out music more recently. So even though
Yes.
you've been around kind of for a decade as a band, it's more kind of more recent in a lot of ways. I'm sure you think of it, but yeah,
Yes.
just talk about how like you even wanted to start playing music and do this kind of music
Yeah.
that eventually you called the Drawn Out.
Yeah. It's funny. Everything happened like really organically. I did like some overseas mission work when I was when I was like 20. And I came back from that and I was like, I don't know how to process like what just happened with my life. And so I just started like writing songs about it. And yeah, just kind of like naturally started flowing out. And then my sister, Cassidy, she's our lead singer, but she has an amazing voice. And so I was like, do you want to sing with me on some of these songs? And we were just like singing them in our room. We shared the basement in my parents' house.
Classic.
And yeah, basement kids. And yeah, and so I was just like teaching her the songs and, telling her what to sing and stuff. And my dad, my dad has like the best music taste. Like I trust his music taste so much. He heard us singing and he's like, this is really good. And he doesn't just like give those out all the time. So I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, and then they encouraged us to do like some open mics around Denver. We did a couple of those. They went really well, and we always wanted to like turn it into a full band, but it was just me and my sister. And so it was kind of more like folky, super singer-songwriter kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up like listening to, Manchester Orchestra and As Cities Burn and
All the
Without
good
You.
stuff.
All the
Yeah.
good stuff, yeah. And I always wanted to like be a band like that, but like the girl version of that,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so fast forward a couple years, I met my husband, and he's an amazing guitar player, and so he kind of married into the band. And
Was that
but he
where
was able
was that a
to
part of the vows? It's like, by the
yeah.
way, if you're gonna be committed to me, you're gonna be
Right.
committed to the band.
Right. So, like, that's the more serious. Just so you know. Yes, that was in the vows for sure.
Yeah, in sickness and health, and
And
in
then
a failing
band stuff.
band potentially.
Was your
And
husband
shows.
also into the same kind of music that you were into?
Yeah, he's a little bit more like pop punky, like,
Okay.
huge Blink 182 fan.
Okay.
Sure.
He grew up in San Diego, so he's a little bit more like San Diego punk
Yeah. Know
music.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, okay. So it's a little different, but basically the same. A lot of bands crossed over into those genres. So
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and so then after we got married, he was already playing in a couple other bands, and so he brought in his drummer and then his bass player, and there you go. That turned into a full
Wow.
band. And then we were able to kind of make like the more, I don't know if emo is the right word, but like just punky girl rock band kind of vibe that we've always
Yeah.
wanted. So
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why it's so fun, because it really does have kind of like all the elements of bands that, I don't know, Mason and I listen to. I mean,
Mhm.
Mason and I really
Nice.
love indie rock. It's got some
Okay,
indie rock
yep.
element. It's got some pop
Yes.
punk element. It's got some of that As Cities Burn kind of style here every once in a
Yeah.
while as well. And
Thank you.
it's on top is this beautiful light voice that just kind of that pulls it all together. It's really enjoyable to listen to, and I think that, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of for everybody.
I love
Like,
that.
was that like a thought process when you were making it?
No, no. I mean, you want that, I guess. You want everyone to be able to listen to it and enjoy it, but it wasn't like an intentional thought of like, I want to make this everyone's favorite thing. Um, but I'm thankful that my sister is just her voice is so like just sounds so nice and almost angelic sometimes.
Mhm.
That I do think it really like can fit a lot of people and their
Mhm.
what they like to listen
Mhm.
to. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just been like a fun little thing that people have told us, and I'm like, that's great. I didn't like set out for that necessarily, but I love it.
I also
love
think it's really well produced, like in a way where it doesn't sound fabricated at all. Like,
Mhm.
it sounds like, real drums, and you
Yes.
even get like those moments of, in indie rock, you mentioned some of your favorite bands, and like those kind of indie or punk or hardcore kind of bands, like you want to hear kind of a little bit of the mistakes in even
Yeah.
like the strumming of the guitars and whatnot. And but not to a degree where it like actually depreciates the quality of the music.
Right.
But you're like, you nailed that so well, and for
Thank you.
somebody, it doesn't sound like you were in like a ton of bands or anything right
No.
beforehand.
No.
So like for somebody who's sort of new to the production process, it's
Yeah.
really well done. And I don't know who's like kind of behind the production of it, but I think the production side of it sounds really, really well done, especially for a band that's so brand new.
Thank you. That means so much. Yeah, that's really I appreciate what you're saying. My bass player, her name is Milena Roberts. So her and her husband, they have their own studio.
Oh, nice.
So they do all of our recordings. Her husband
Really?
Corbin, yeah, her husband Corbin is the producer. And they just like, I usually come to them and I'm like, I don't know, I have this idea. Here's a song. I don't know what to do with it. I'm thinking this, like, how do I make it happen? And they can just get exactly what I'm trying to say and help it, turn into a full thing that I'm like, that's my favorite part. I'm kind of bringing everyone this idea and I'm like, I give them the rough draft of the song and
You're
then
the
they just
ideas person.
I
Yeah.
am. Yeah. Yeah. So I like yeah, I write all the music initially and then I kind of send it off and I'm like, okay, you guys, what do you think? Here we go.
Mhm.
Here's another song. And yeah, and then usually they're like, oh, this is really good. Like I think we should do this and this and this and then they just make it exactly what I was picturing in my head.
You
It's
just
great.
That's
like
exciting.
you know the right people and you married the right people.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes, it's the biggest blessing. Like
I was gonna say this is like mom and pop DIY all the
it
way.
really is. Yeah. And that's what I love about it so much. Like, I mean, I would love to, I have dreams and goals for us, someday. But it's really nice that we can have so much control of everything and how
Yeah.
everything's produced and written and we're just literally doing it all
Yeah.
ourselves, which
I
can
mean,
be really hard, but also there's a good side to it
I
too.
mean, even like the artwork, I'm like so impressed by
Yeah.
the band photo shoots and stuff, like everything
Yes.
about it. It feels like how is this like a small band in Denver? Like these I
Thank
look at
you.
just like the artwork and the production and everything about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, this seems like a really good signed band that should be touring the world right now, and you guys are just a
Come
small
on.
band out of Denver that more people need to know about.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
and I would say the same thing about your guys' social media. You guys, I think it's actually where I found you guys first. I think I
Yeah.
found a video of your guys' that
Okay.
kind of popped off. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You guys
Sweet.
have a good vibe about you, So
Thank you. That means so much. Like, gosh, social media.
it's hard.
Whew, it's
It's
hard.
so hard.
I
Yeah.
know. You just never really know what's working. And like, you're just throwing stuff out there, hoping it works. But yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
hard.
difficult world to navigate, and I think it's
Yeah.
even more difficult for bands because
Oh my gosh.
there's 1,000,001 bands plus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's always going to be more, and there's always going to be someone with something fancier, newer, nicer, whatever it is, and
Totally.
it's hard to know what the right direction is to go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And I think it's hard with musicians too, because there's like this part of you that wants to be like mysterious.
Right,
And you,
exactly.
you don't want to be making these like cringy TikToks or whatever. At least for me, like I would rather just be like, ooh, the mysterious one. Like, what is, like not doing all these weird things, but you just have to do it, I guess, at this day and age. And so that's been a learning curve for sure.
Mm.
But I appreciate you saying that.
So
So
you
go ahead,
go ahead, Mace.
So I was just gonna say, and I feel like it's a running gag now, Mackenzie,
Yeah.
on this podcast that I almost every episode bring up a band called The Chariot, which
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure you probably grew up with The Chariot if you were a
Yes.
Solid State and Tooth and Nail fan. But this is not about The Chariot. So
Okay.
The Chariot on their last album had a song called Your, which was like a remake by a person named Angela Plake.
Yeah.
And she started a band later on, I think even probably after The Chariot broke up. But she started a band called Bandit.
Okay.
Like like a bandit, like the
Yeah.
noun. And she like the vibe and the sound is
It's a
so
lot
similar.
similar. That's a good
Okay.
point. I
Like,
never thought about
Like
that.
the first moment I heard like the first song from you guys, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this reminds me of Bandit. And I
Oh,
always thought
cool.
Bandit should have gotten really big, but they just they released one album in like 2000 maybe 15, and
Okay.
then haven't done anything since.
Oh
But
wow.
I don't know if you've ever heard of
No.
Bandit or anything. You have to check them out. But
I
it like
will.
is totally similar vibes.
That sounds
They
amazing.
also did a cover. It's probably their most popular song, but they did a cover of "Where Is My Mind" by
Oh man. So good. The
why am I
Pixies.
blanking on their name right now? But
Pixies,
the
right?
The
Pixies, yeah,
Pixies. Yeah.
by the Pixies. But they did a cover of "Where Is Your Mind" or "Where's My Mind," and but your voice is so similar to hers too.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
not just like the voice, but just like the overall kind of indie sound to it. Like everything about it's like so similar. And I'm like, oh,
I love that.
like you both are just like so good at what you do. And like I wish both, I wish your band got bigger or is bigger.
Yes.
I wish Bandit got bigger. Yeah, I'm just like everything
Okay.
about it is like these are the bands in the world that people
Yeah.
need to be listening to.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. I need new music to listen to. I'm like hitting a lull lately, so I'm gonna go check them out. I'm
Love it.
pumped.
Sweet. Well, one other question I had, just you mentioned that you homeschool your kids, and so I'm
I do.
guessing you're probably home most of the day with your kids. And for a
Yes.
lot of moms, I've heard, especially moms of like younger kids, so much of your identity is wrapped around like being a mom, right? And
Yeah.
especially with you being home with the kids every day, that's like a big part of your identity, and that's great. And also, and I'm sure that's fulfilling, but also like that there's like so much more to who you are. So I'd
Oh yeah.
imagine a project like this being also being a mom and probably spending most of your days doing that. But I would imagine like a project project like this and like being able to be like super creative, this has got to be like something like so fulfilling and like probably something fun to like, oh, that's like a new part of me that maybe I didn't know before, or like,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just like curious, like maybe
Yeah.
your thoughts around like how that just being in a band and like creating something like this has been like really fulfilling for you in the midst of knowing that like it's probably not the main thing that you're doing every single day.
Right. Oh, I love that question. That's great. Yeah, I think that becoming a mom, I think was the best thing I could have ever done to become a better songwriter. I think that it's almost kind of like looked down if you have kids and you have a band, and it's like, how could you do both? Like, people always ask me that. How are you doing this? You have a band and you have kids? Like, who does that? And I'm like, it's the best thing I've ever done, because before, when I was writing songs, like, it's fine, whatever, but after having kids, you just change so much, and I feel like there's so much more depth to me as a person. I've grown so much that I feel like I
You
can
can
write
finally write
songs
songs about how poop got on the wall.
yeah, right? Like, why are you sticky?
You didn't have that in you when you were 16, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my songs are way deeper now. No, but yeah, I think in that way, I think it's been amazing doing both projects, like being a mom, having this project. Like, I feel like it's grown me a lot. But it's such a nice like outlet to have. Like, I think it would be really hard if I didn't have a creative outlet to turn to and I was just constantly in mom mode. Me personally, I would that would be rough. That would be rough for me. I I feel like I have to have something I'm kind of, I can still be myself, be outside of motherhood. Um, were you gonna say something?
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, but you
Oh,
got to
okay.
like you got to decompress somehow, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and I think like just writing songs like after the kids go to bed helps you like kind of process through the day of like maybe you had a rough day with them. So yeah, like I think it's challenging. It's definitely not as easy to like, just get shows all the time or go on tour or whatever. Like, takes a lot more planning and babysitters. But it's the best to do both things. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had talked earlier about how you had gone on like overseas missions.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in like a very religious household, and is that something that you've kind of continued on with, or do you have like a different take on it nowadays, or
Yeah.
what's all that stuff look like? Because we are semi
Yeah.
Christian related on this podcast,
Totally.
despite what some people think.
we're not a
Okay.
Christian podcast. We're Christians in a podcast.
That's
Right.
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 That's right.
Not a Christian band, a Christians in a band. Yes. Yeah, I grew up in a very, very conservative Christian household. I'm one of 6 kids. We were all homeschooled. And I think like every teenager, I was pretty rough for my parents. I didn't fully understand what we were learning about in church. I was like, what does it really matter? Like, just kind of annoyed that I had to go. And then, but one of the best things is I asked, like, the worship team at our church basically fell apart, and they were like, we need someone to do worship. And so I kind of just got like pushed in there at like 16 doing that. I had no idea what I was doing. But I think that was like the best thing that could have happened to me, because one, it really showed me like, oh, I have a love for music. And this is kind of a way I can, like, I wasn't really playing or doing anything with music other than just listening to it. So yeah, it was really good to like learn how to play with the band and all of that. And then once I graduated high school, I was kind of like, I don't know what to do now. Like, what do I do with my life, And my mom's like, why don't you go on a mission trip? Like, that might be fun for you. Might be good. So I ended up going to Youth with a Mission, YWAM, if you know about that. Yeah. And
where did you go for YWAM?
They have a campus here in Denver.
Okay.
So I was there like the first half, just here in Denver. And they did like there was like a musician school that they were doing. So everyone that I was with were musicians, and it was kind of like a common interest. So anyway, I was here in Denver for the first 3 months, and then 3 months in Asia.
Oh,
So I was
nice.
in I was in Thailand and Cambodia for a month and a half each place, and or a couple weeks, whatever. And yeah, working with like sex trafficking and stuff there, and it completely changed my life. And so I think ever since then, I've like really been on fire for the Lord, and I'm just so thankful that worship and doing music, I got kind of pushed into that role, even though maybe I shouldn't have been doing that yet. I didn't know what I was doing. I think it like kind of set the trajectory for my life. So
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
It is kind of interesting. I feel like every small town or like medium-sized town, at least where
Yeah.
I'm from, they have like 5 or 6 families that are just like you guys, right?
Yeah.
We're large family, very very conservative,
Uh-huh. Everyone's
Christian,
homeschooled.
yep, usually
Yep.
homeschooled, and every single time I'm amazed at like the talent and the different ways that they present themselves,
Yeah.
because I mean it's a completely different kind of lifestyle than what most people are experiencing growing up,
Yeah.
and it's got to be a very difficult thing to try to navigate. So it's
Yeah.
there's more than one outlet for you, thankfully, that allowed you to interact with the world in a
Yeah.
more
Oh, totally.
authentic way for yourself.
Yes. My parents, when you're homeschooled, obviously you don't really have gym class. And so for our gym class, we always had to be playing a sport. So thankfully, because me and my brothers all played hockey. And so we had that
Hockey,
side.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Our ice hockey family. I
Man,
know.
they picked the
Who-
most
who-
expensive sport to get their kid into.
I know, right?
Who can fight the best? Who throws the gloves off and just immediately is ready to go?
Okay,
Who's
I'm
the
gonna
best at
say-
that? You probably?
If you ask my brothers, they would tell you differently. But I'm gonna say me because I'm a lot more feisty.
Heck yeah.
Like they're just like so chill, like whatever. I am like a lot more feisty than them, so I would say me.
Love that.
I love it.
Love
Yeah.
that. Somebody's got to put your brothers in the place.
I
in
know,
their place.
right? Exactly.
Sounds like you guys need to start mosh pits at your concerts now.
That's coming someday.
Oh,
Hey, there we go.
that kind of music's coming.
Putting it out
you know.
there.
I
That's great.
love it.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of you guys' music, what can we expect in the future? Obviously, your EP came out last year. Is there
Mhm.
anything that we can maybe expect this year or sometime in the future?
Yes, we're currently recording a new EP.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, we just finished all the bass parts yesterday, and so that should be coming out. I don't know the exact timeline, but I'm gonna say somewhere maybe the fall ish,
Okay.
Okay.
fall
Sweet.
of this year. Yeah, yeah,
Sweet.
very
So you
pumped about
just-
that.
Yeah, you guys are like you're starting to kind of get into a rhythm, it sounds like.
Yes, yeah, I feel like we're really kind of like hitting our stride. Not like I don't know if hitting our stride is the right thing, but just kind of figuring out how we work as a band.
Yeah.
And yeah, like figuring out our schedule of how we like to do things. I think that's taken us a little bit of time, especially with me having kids. That's kind of hard.
Sure.
But I think we're kind of figuring out like every couple months we like to, do writing retreats and that kind of stuff. And then EPs are just easier. We would love to make a full album, but
Yeah, we
money and-
actually talked to a lot of bands that are kind of just on the EP train because it
Yeah.
works.
I
It
know.
keeps things fresh, makes you a
Right.
little bit more
Like
flexible.
even really
things.
established bands, they're like,
Yeah.
EP route, especially in the like midst of streaming, is like seems to be the best
Yeah.
Totally.
way to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I keep hearing. So, yeah, again, like I would love to have a full album someday, but for now, EPs, singles, that seems to be our zone.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much. I would much rather write a really well-written 3-page paper than a
Yeah,
half well done
Right, just like
10-page
mediocre.
paper, right?
Yeah, totally.
Neither of which he does very well, but I get the sentiment.
This is
Yeah.
true.
No, I totally get that. I appreciate that.
Sweet.
Great. Well, we look forward to new music coming out at some point. Sounds like this year, so we're
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Mackenzie, you ready for your top 5 most influential artists?
Oh man, artists?
Or
Okay.
sorry, albums.
Albums.
Not
Albums.
this is like
Okay.
our 175th show. It's it's not like I haven't done this before. What in the world?
Okay, I am like really bad at album names, so I'm sorry if I mess some of them up, but
Like pronouncing them or remembering the
just
name
like
of them?
remember, I'm like, oh, that one album with the the front looks like this. Like I'm really bad at remembering album names, so. But
We'll
I
try
think
to help you out if we can.
Well,
hopefully I got it.
I've got Wikipedia ready to go, so
Okay.
you just let me know.
Okay, great. Do I start at like number 5 and go up?
You can go whatever order you want or no order. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think we're gonna start out with the band Microwave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and their album what is it? Much Love, I think. Yeah,
Let me.
Much Love.
Did you write
Yes.
these down?
Yes.
Did I
Did you-
write them down?
Did you write them down beforehand?
I went to
Oh, gotcha. I was gonna say you were looking down. I was like, holy cow, she's
I
prepared.
opened up my
We didn't even tell her.
Apple Music. I'm an Apple Music person, so
That's a good call.
yeah.
Probably
Okay.
close to the top. Why?
Yeah.
Why microwave? What is it about microwave that?
Oh my
that
gosh.
has influenced you?
I love Microwave. I think he has just their energy, great. But he's also such a good songwriter. Like some of his songs are so he just like he can write like really tongue in cheek, but then he can also write like super deep. And I love that.
Yeah.
And also his voice I just think is really, really good. So I saw them live recently and it was amazing. Like one of the best bands I've ever seen live.
Really? I might have
Yeah.
to. Mason and I are gonna have to go check them
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I love like
They're
that,
amazing.
like in the sort of scene of from the era that they're in and like the kind of genre that they're in. You know,
Yeah.
they obviously play with bands like Drug Church and
Yeah,
you
all
know,
the good
just that
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like all that whole scene, like Basement, all that whole scene, and I love all of those bands, but I haven't
Yeah.
for whatever reason just quite gotten into Microwave, and I think
Okay.
it's more of like a lack of trying rather than like me really trying to get into them, and so
Yeah.
I think they're just a band that I just need to listen to more, and I think eventually it will start clicking for me.
Yeah. Maybe, just try it again.
Yeah.
And just give him another chance.
I like how you said that like Mason was your homeschooled child.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
can do it. Try it.
Yeah.
Try a little harder.
Mason even buttoned his top button like
Yeah,
your
ready to go.
homeschooled
Great.
child should.
Okay, next, I'm torn. I think I'm gonna have to say "Devil and God" by Brand New.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Just like, like literally shaped me. So has to be in there. Oh my gosh.
You
Was it
are
like-
an emo kid at heart.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
I really am. Yeah. And I don't listen to anything new, really. Like Microwave snuck in there as like a newer band, but I'm still listening to all.
I mean, brand
The
new's
same
name
stuff.
is literally brand new. So I mean, you can pretty
Yeah.
much claim that you're listening to brand new stuff
Brand
all
new
the time.
stuff. That's true. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Third, I'd probably go. There's so many good Me Without You albums. This is hard, but
Oh, you're gonna make
Um,
Mason a very happy man, as well as me, but
Okay.
Mason especially.
yeah, I probably was it Brother Sister. Is that the name of that
Yeah,
album?
yeah.
I guess I'd probably go.
2006.
Yeah,
Great album.
there's a lot of good ones I could pick with them, but that one was very influential.
What is it about? What is it about Me Without You? Because I definitely get like a Me Without You vibe from you,
Oh, nice.
but I'm curious, what is it about Me Without You, or specifically Brother Sister, that gets you?
I think that album specifically was when I was like really kind of understanding like, oh, I don't know how to explain this, but like I was kind of like, oh, he's like taking me on like a biblical journey.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And it really just kind of like was eye-opening for me of like basically just writing worship songs, but in like completely different contexts that I'd never experienced before. So I think that's why I'm such a big Me Without You fan. Like he's just such a good songwriter. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
how like there's so many songs that he's written that I'm like, I'm so jealous. I wish I wish I came out with that.
I don't
Did
even
you
write
see-
music and I feel that way.
Yeah.
Did you see them on their farewell tour in Denver?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
cried.
I went to that show.
You guys were
Really?
at the same show.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I was at that
gosh.
show. Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was a good time.
That's so cool.
Was there flowers thrown at that one?
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah,
Man.
totally.
So I
They
I
brought
missed
out the flowers
out
on
on
the
the
farewell tour.
I missed out on
Yeah.
the farewell tour, and
Oh
I would have loved a flower from Aaron Weiss's mouth.
man. Oh man. An anointed flower.
Isn't it funny? We literally have been like in the same room.
Building.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
weird.
All right, so
Okay,
that's number
So that was 3.
three.
Yep,
Okay,
got
so
two
then
more.
I'll probably go Mean Everything to Nothing by Manchester Orchestra.
Oh, great call.
This
Yeah.
is just like
I mean-
one after another of like
know.
every like a fan of one of these bands is like going to be a fan of the rest of these bands.
Yeah,
Like,
like, you have to like them all. I know.
you're on the Spotify. Like if you clicked on Me Without You and you're like fans also
Yes.
like you're just like naming all
You
those
are
bands
the
right now.
algorithm.
Just
Yeah.
yeah. That's so accurate. Yes.
Man
Did
U.
you-
So Cullen and I saw Man U, Man O, I guess you would
Man
say
O.
if you're a really true fan. But we saw Manchester Orchestra play with Jimmy Eat World at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
I was at that show too.
What in the world?
You guys.
Did you see a super drunk wine
Oh
drunk
my
person
gosh.
stumbling around by any chance?
Maybe.
This
That was
guy,
me. That was me.
this
Oh.
guy right here.
That was
Stories.
you. Okay.
That was rough.
I mean,
He was
where?
he was wine
that was
drunk.
one of my rougher nights over the last like 10 years.
Oh, no.
That was tough.
Man.
It was
we
rough
all
for
been
me too because
Too much
Yeah, it was
all
really
over
rough
me.
for you. It was way rougher for you.
there. Yeah.
70 miles
You
an
had to take
hour.
care of him.
Yeah, and he had to take care of himself afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, I was fine. I just had to clean up because
You're like, I'm good.
all over me.
What a good show that was.
Oh,
That
it was
was
fantastic. I'm a
actually,
massive Jimmy Eat World fan. So
As much as
Yeah.
like I love Jimmy Eat World, it was so much fun to see them for the first time.
Yeah.
I'd never seen them before. I
Same.
think Manchester Orchestra was like they just sounded better. Like you know,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
those moments where, and I always forget the guy's name, but like when he starts like doing those screams,
yeah,
Like literally chills. Oh my
and
gosh.
like throughout, and you can just like the reverberation off the rocks and Red Rocks, like his screams
Yes.
in particular, just were fantastic. Like I thought Manchester sounded better that night.
100%.
And that's not to say that Jimmy Eat World was like bad. Like they were
No.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
that is just how good that show is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just. Yeah. It was like apples and oranges. You know, like
It really was.
They were just on a. Manchester was just on another league that night. They were amazing.
Yeah,
It was great.
yeah. It almost felt too good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it reminded me of
special.
like a mega church worship service to a certain extent. You know?
It was a spiritual experience for
yeah.
me. Like
The spirit was moving.
my entire family came. So there was like 1 million of us. I don't know if you saw a huge group of people. That was probably us.
I did see a
But-
huge group of people, but there was about
a lot of groups of
10,000. There was
people.
about 10,000 of them. So
Yes. It was great. Okay.
All right, last one.
Number 1, I would go Come Now Sleep by As Cities Burn.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Obviously.
love it.
Yeah.
Love
That's-
You're not helping the algorithm here. Like
I
you're
know.
just you're feeding
Just making
into
the
it.
algorithm. Yeah, feeding into it. That's like my number 1 album. I listen to it. My kids know the album because I listen to it
Yeah.
every
Oh,
single day.
it's so good.
Still.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
my
car.
favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
That album just hit me when I was in middle school and high school, like in just such a different way.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like looking back, like, you know, if you ever hear like the band do interviews about it, they were just like, you know, after TJ left and everything, they just sort of were like, they felt like they were maybe like in disarray or whatever. And then this
Yeah.
album kind of came out and
Yeah.
and it just seemed like one of these things where they just kind of like put it out without really knowing that it would, you know, it was certainly less popular, I
Yeah.
think in a lot of ways, but it
Initially.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, but like the influence or the impact that it's had on so many different people is really
Yes.
outweighs whatever, you know, lesser popularity it had in comparison to Son,
Yeah.
I Loved You at Your Darkest.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know,
It definitely
it
came
was-
from a different part of the heart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's just the best album. Like every single song is amazing.
Yeah.
I actually sent Cody, the main guy,
Yep.
our EP, and he listened to it and he said it was really good, and it was the
He
best
actually
moment of my
emailed you
life.
back. We're
Yes.
waiting on an email back from him too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll message him for you. I'll tell him.
Yeah.
exactly.
Can you like
Connect
can we make it seem like we've got a new EP for him?
Okay.
And we'll just send him
like,
your
hey,
EP.
You need to check this out. Yeah, but he listened to it and he said it was really good, and I was freaking out. My husband was like, "What's like? Are you good?" And I was like pacing around the house, like, "This is the best day of my life."
And he's like, yeah, I remember the
He's
day
like,
we got
"Great."
married too.
Yeah,
Huh.
he's like, "Cool, okay." Yeah. So
That's
that
awesome.
band holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Good,
Great
They're
call.
one of our favorites. So love that. That's got to be like one of our favorite lists in terms of like a ton of bands that we listen to, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Easily.
Well-
I am curious if we were in the same room for an City's Burn show now too, though.
Could be
You know what?
Probably
I
not
only-
on that one.
I only saw them once, and
at?
it was like a couple years ago. They were at the Walnut Room. in Denver.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
at the
it was-
Walnut Room. No, I'm just joking.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
I was actually I was next door at the Peanut Room. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We heard the Almond Room wasn't quite
No.
as, you
the
know.
Almond
Was it-
Room is
what-
Room.
It
Almond
didn't
Room is
quite
for the-
crack up to.
the Almond Room is for the crunchies. We don't.
Yeah.
I don't get along with them very well. So
We don't like those ones.
All right, Mackenzie, what do you
That's
want to
funny.
plug? So it sounds like new music could be coming out
Music.
sometime this year. So plug that. I don't know if you guys have any local shows coming up anytime soon, but yeah, what do you want to plug about the band?
Yeah. We're playing at a venue called the High Dive on June 13th.
Love it.
And other than that, I think I'm gonna become the new lead singer for No Doubt. They gave me a call. Gwen Stefani, she's like,
what is
she's
Gwen
like,
out?
Yeah, I need a break. So I was like,
Is this
I
like an
got you.
Amber Lynn situation where all of a sudden now like
Yeah, I think so. And I'm swooping in. And so
Oh
catch
my
me on
God.
tour. with
really?
No
Do
Doubt.
you think your voice translates to ska really well?
You know, it'll get there.
Okay.
It'll
I
be
have
good.
no doubt she could do it.
I can't.
You
know,
have
tell
no
all
doubt
the
that you can do
details.
it. Nice.
But
You got it.
yeah, it's gonna be good.
Wow.
Gwen said it was good enough. So
That shit is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A.
B-A-N-A-S. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we
so
look
no
forward
big
to
deal,
seeing
but
you with I thought the Drawn Out was like, maybe the next big thing, but it sounds like,
Yeah.
you know what, you're on to much greener pastures.
You know, what can I say?
Yeah.
Everyone wants me.
Well, let's hope this doesn't lead to a divorce that you're like quitting the band that you started with your husband.
No, they'll just come along.
There you go. Wonderful. Well, we look forward to hopefully seeing you at some point. I know it's a little
Yes.
hard to tour right now in life, but if for whatever reason we find ourselves out in Colorado, we'd love to see you. And yeah, for whatever reason you find yourself in the Midwest, we'd love to see you. And so
Yeah.
thanks so much for chatting more about the music. And at the very least, we'll see you with No Doubt.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome to the BlackSheep Podcast. Once again, we have some fun guests today. A band that came across recently, and they're relatively new. I'm really excited for everyone to listen to them. This is Sunmancer. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm Justin Maslick, vocals, lyrics, scream and sing, do all that fun stuff.
Sick.
And I'm Kyle Maslick. We're brothers, and I play guitar in the band.
So I got to ask before we begin, Justin and Kyle, since you guys are brothers, did your parents, when like they were having both of you, were they like just watching South Park one day and were like, we're gonna name our kids after South Park characters? Because like when I think of like brothers in South Park, I'm like, I haven't watched South Park for like probably at least 10 years, but it just seems like Justin and Kyle are like the two names that would probably be the names of two South Park brothers.
Especially
right?
Maslick being the last
Yeah,
name. I mean,
right.
it just sounds
Yeah.
like a South Park name. That is
I
true.
think we predated South Park. We were in the 80s, so maybe we gave
wow.
them influence.
Like, so you were like Beavis and Butthead's like brothers, right? Or they're like they're
Yeah.
friends or something, right?
Yeah.
So and then we got to. I mean, I feel okay. We got two brothers. Which one of you is the older brother?
I am. Even though I look
You are?
younger, I am the older.
You are the
Oh
okay.
man, shots fired already. Okay, I get it.
He
it.
gets it all the time. So
Yeah, we actually have a third brother. He's the youngest. I'm the middle child.
So
Oh,
is he the black sheep of the family because he isn't in a band, or is he in a band?
No, he doesn't play any instruments. I think he
None
played
at all.
trombone when he was in school, but
Dang.
no, nothing anymore.
So he could have been an influential ska musician, but he just wasn't, huh?
We actually did practice System of a Down's Aerials song. He would play it on trombone. And I would play it on guitar. We weren't very good back then. So.
That is, I can't even imagine what that would sound like for some reason.
Oh yeah, our dad hated
it. Would you guys sing it too?
No, I can't sing
I wasn't
at all.
with them. It was just them two.
Honestly, I think you guys need to have like a secret song somewhere, and you guys need to record that. Get your brother back on the trombone, and you two got to harmonize doing some Surge and Darren Malakian or whatever his name is. So that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
All
right. Well,
systems.
You know all of them? Is that what you said?
He knows a big chunk of them. Yeah. Well, at least the early ones, right?
Me? Yeah, they were.
You.
Yeah, they were my favorite band for a long time.
You know, I feel like no one ever says that. No one ever says that that System of a Down was their favorite, and they are incredibly influential to a lot of people. But they just, for some reason, don't make that list for most people. I don't quite understand it. I don't know if they're just like too out of the box or what, but regardless. Well, let's talk about Sunmancer. First of all, killer ass name. Love the name. That's the kind of name that draws me in right away. We have a lot of bands that are like named after someone like in the band, and I hate those. I usually will not listen to them unless they're really, really good. But you guys have a killer name. Thanks. How did you guys come to be? I know you guys have been in some bands in the past. You guys want to kind of go through like a brief history of how you guys all got started?
Do you want to do that, Kyle?
Sure. So Justin and I have been playing together in bands since 2003. We're both kind of old, but we were in a band called Broadcast the Nightmare in the mid to late 2000s, and we were signed to Sumerian. Put out an album April 2009. We toured on that for a while, but it was kind of difficult to keep members. You know, people would join thinking, "Oh, now I'm in a signed band. I don't have to do anything." But that's really when your work begins. Right. So we had a revolving door of members, and after a while of dealing with that, we decided just to call it quits in broadcast. So fast forward, 14, 15 years later, Justin and I decided, I'm itching to play. Justin was itching to play. So decided, well, let's just start a new band. Sunmancer, the name is all him. There are a couple of us who weren't like really sold on the name when he came up with it. And it's like, I don't know if we like it, but over time it grew on us.
Why didn't you like it? What was wrong with Sunmancer?
It sounds like, at first I thought it sounded like Dayman from It's Always Sunny.
Dayman.
Yeah, like his brother or something.
Yeah, I was just putting words together, man. It's difficult to find a name now, like everything's taken. Yeah. You like even just looking for like just a random word. It's like, it's already used. And we just went through all kinds of crap. So I just started sticking words together. And only thing I found with that name was like, it was like some video game guy avatar. Some dude made it in some like Dungeons and Dragons thing, I think.
I was just going to say, that's going to be my new Dungeons and Dragons. Sunmancer.
That was like the only thing I found that was like, and it was like some random, like just article. And it was just like some guy's username. And that was it. And I was like, all right, well, it doesn't seem like anyone else is using this. So let's go with it.
That's interesting because that's a surprisingly difficult thing to do, especially something where, it's one word or two words smashed together that's easily searchable these days. It's very, very difficult to do. Yeah. There's too many bands that put out something like, our band's name is Canoe, Oh, good luck trying to find you in the algorithm now.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do
that's
think
what we were
there
trying to go with.
I like it.
Sorry, go
is there
sorry,
is
go
there
ahead.
I don't I'm like curious, is there like anything about like if there's like a band with its band name and like another band like pops up, like could the like original, like how does that work of like who could sue who, like like that's got to be a
Yeah.
thing, right?
I
Whoever
mean,
has
Like,
most
cause
money.
could there like would it be like, I mean, what if like right now there's like a bunch of like Gen Z kids or whatever that are like, I'm gonna make a metal band, but we're gonna call ourselves the Beatles. Like, is that even a
yeah.
possibility without them getting sued?
I mean, there's trademark stuff and copyright stuff. I think once you actually come out with material and like put it out in ether, like recorded work, then it's like this is copyrighted because it's there
Yeah.
and it has our stuff. It has like us on it, and
Yeah.
but we didn't. I mean, we didn't go out and like do all like the legwork to like go through all the copyright stuff. But from what I've read, that's why I haven't really done much with that. Is that, you know, if someone tries to like come out with a song and it's the same as ours, or if they have the same name, I mean, we already established that. At least that's from what I've read. I mean,
Yeah.
I need to
Well,
maybe we should do a little bit more research. I don't know. You know.
I think Ghost just had a situation with that. Obviously, Ghost is a huge band now, but initially there was another band called Ghost out there, and so they had to add Ghost, and they added BC to the end of their name technically, but they would only
Wasn't
actually call themselves Ghost or something like that. But
isn't that with like Kubla Khan? Is that how you say their name?
yeah, Kubla Khan as well. Yeah,
Because they have the Texas after it now,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah. I think
So I
Shaka
mean, is
Khan
that
did the
how
same
they're
thing.
like? Is that how they're presented now? They just anywhere they go, they got to say Texas after it.
Well, I think anytime they're in print, they got to do that. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's
Okay.
just, they just say, "Hey, we're
Okay.
Kubla Khan. Let's fuck it
Yeah.
up." So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember there was a band called Architects.
yeah,
That was, I think, from the U.S. and it wasn't even like a straight up metalcore band like the one in the U.K. and they had the same thing. So I think Architects had to start putting U.K. behind their
Right.
name. I don't know if they're still doing it because I think the other band that was from the U.S. like disbanded, so they're not really doing much anymore. But
yeah,
You know, now you guys are bringing that up, it does remind like Beloved, which I don't know if you guys ever
love
listened to
it.
Beloved. They were out
U.S.
north.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
they
that.
would, but yeah, they would put US afterwards, and I'm guessing the reason why they did that was because there was probably another
Another one
Beloved
out there.
outside of the US
Yeah.
that had obviously the same name.
Yep. Yeah, it
Just
happens.
realizing
It
that.
happens. I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to happen with Sunmancer, thankfully. That's a
Hopefully
name
not.
that
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might be popular in Dungeons and Dragons circles, and that's fine, and that's all right.
What
And then it'll be popular in the in the metalcore community, which is
There
cool.
you go.
But well, sweet. So you guys had a pretty rising star kind of band initially, and then 13 years later, you said you guys decide. But why the time jump? Obviously, I'm assuming there's probably like families now involved and stuff like that, and you're just trying to start your life, or what was the deal?
Yeah, I mean, we just wanted to go back to school. I think Kyle had his son around that time, around 2010. So it was just, family, school, trying to do a career, just trying to see what the next route was going to be in our lives, just because tour life was rough and keeping members was rough. And we just wanted to see another, go another venture, something else into our lives. And now we're like, hey, we want to do this again. We want to write some music and play some shows again. Because we were itching for it. At least I was, So
Where do you think that itch came from? Like why now?
Just because I love playing music and I just never wanted to stop, and it's just for some reason it happened. Well, I know what reason it happened, but it just I mean it was always just there lingering, and we should have. I mean, I was already doing stuff with other people, like little projects with friends of mine, but it was nothing to this capacity, nothing that I wanted to like present to the world. Because I mean, I got all kinds of random stuff that I've done over the years, but nothing of this caliber. And I think the same would go for Kyle. I mean, Kyle, a lot of the stuff that's on our EP was stuff he wrote over the last 13 years, right?
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't do any like projects like how Justin did. I would just write and tab it, and like it's kind of like Guitar Pro.
Yeah.
and then record some crappy quality recordings on my crappy laptop. And I was on my honeymoon actually in 2022, and a mutual friend, a drummer, had been reaching out to
I mean,
me.
you're spending your honeymoon tabbing some guitars?
No, 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 no,
Is that
not
what they
doing that.
call it these days? Is that what that's what the kids are calling it these days?
Yeah, I'm not that much of a nerd, but no, he was reaching out to me while I was on my honeymoon. He's like, "Hey, like the stuff you sent me in the past, like I really think it's really good. We should start a band with it." And he was pretty persistent, so I decided, like, all right, sure. I mean, he said that he knew a guitar player, and he had sent my material over to Jeremy, the other guitar player, and Jeremy liked it. So then the drummer set up a text thread with the four of us. And yeah, so the drummer, he's no longer with the group anymore, but Jeremy, Justin, and me, we did the EP. Nothing ever happens together, but it was kind of 50-50 with the writing, as with Jeremy. Justin did all the vocals, but when the time came for us to actually record the EP, we didn't have a drummer. So the guy who was our producer for this, named Pat Snyder, he is also a really talented drummer. So we went to him and was like, "Hey, I know we're supposed to record next week, but we don't really have a drummer right now. Would you mind, writing some of this stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he threw drums down for the EP for us. It was kind of a lifesaver. And then after we finished that, we were on the hunt for a drummer and bassist, and Justin found both of them.
Do you guys have fears that that maybe these guys aren't going to stick around like last time?
Well, so we bring that topic up a lot. Make sure that everyone's on the same page. We're all kind of at the point in our life where we don't really need to or want to tour 6 weeks at a time, come home for 2 weeks and go back out for 6 weeks,
Sure.
ad venom. But so far, everyone's on the same page of doing like a week-long tour, maybe 2 or 3 times a year at most, and then trying to get on festivals and then playing local shows.
Sure.
Mm-hmm,
That makes sense to me.
Well, and just like the industry is probably so much more different, or just even, I shouldn't say the industry, the technology of things is so much different than when you guys were recording in 2008, 2009, where, now, like you guys, like, Justin, you were saying you got like this, you've got like a recording kind of little booth that you can do stuff in. And so you can get really good professional recording stuff just like in a house. Whereas, I mean, the possibility of that in 2009, not to say that it was impossible, but like the possibility of it was much lower, where you had, like, if you wanted to get any sort of good sounding material, you're going to have to like book time in a professional studio and so on and so forth. And that just takes a lot of time and energy and money. So now, like, just the possibility of like being like 4 people in a band that live wherever in the country, doing whatever your full-time stuff is and doing family stuff and all of that, but also like on the side, like you're able to like build out like a decent studio to at least like record demo stuff. Like it's pretty impressive, like what you guys can do now as artists versus probably when you guys were first recording in 2009, 2008.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yeah, one of the
true.
biggest changes was the the social media aspect of it. So MySpace was a thing. Facebook hadn't really, picked up, but like Job for a Cowboy comes to mind. They were one of the bands that got big off of MySpace, but we had put promotion into MySpace. People had followed us on it, but it's nothing like how it is now with like Instagram and TikTok and still Facebook or YouTube. So it has been a learning curve for us, being mindful of the content that you need to create that, surrounds a single release or an EP release. So it could be exhausting because we're still not quite used to it, and we're learning as we go, but we are getting better at it. But on the flip side, we're thankful for that, because being able to reach out to so many people on these platforms does make it easier for us as a band, so we don't have to be we don't really need a label. We can boost ourselves, and so we are appreciative of that.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, you guys have done a pretty stellar job thus far. I mean, every single bit of Sunmancer so far that I've seen and heard is very, very slick looking and sounds really, really good. I mean, you guys have crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's, and I mean, I would have thought you guys would have been a band for 10 years, and I'm just finding out about you just based off of the quality of material you guys are putting out, both visually and especially audio wise. So, um, going into that realm more, what was the recording process like, and what was how's it been creating music in this era as compared to era in the past?
So I guess we'll start in the past. So recording 2012, the one we did as broadcast, we went to Planet Red Studios, which is in Richmond, Virginia. Same producer who did the Black Dahlia Murders Me Asthma album, same studio.
Sure.
We were super
He's the
stoked about
Scarlet
that.
drummer.
Yeah, Andreas Magnuson. Yeah, he was our producer for that.
Hmm.
But we were there, I think, 2 weeks. So we had to track everything there. The drums, bass, guitar, and then Justin was flown out separately to LA to do his vocals, and he was separate from all of us. So that was fun for him. But for recording with Sunmancer, we were just able to track the dry guitars at Jeremy's house. And
Cool.
Pat got us. Pat, once again, he's the producer. He set us up with because we used Studio One, so he set us up with the project for it, and then we just recorded the dry guitars there. And once we were done with that, then recorded the bass doing the same thing, and then Pat just mixed it at his studio and mastered it. And then even further, like now with the Chasm Darkly, our newest single, I actually recorded the guitars at my house and just
Wow.
did all DI and then sent it over to Pat, and he was able to do his magic. And then Justin
and
would record at his house.
Well, no, I'd go over to Pat's house, and actually the first time the EP, I took my little vocal booth thing, which is this thing right here that I contracted. It's like PCP pipes and like those blankets you use for moving.
Yeah.
And I brought that over to Pat's house and recorded all the vocals inside there. But then when we did Chasm, he's like, don't worry about it, man. I don't think the acoustics are going to be that bad. So I didn't bring it, and I just recorded in his basement. But yeah, it worked out.
Killer.
And then our drummer, Ramon, the guy we have now, he did the backing singing on the chorus, which was something new to us because I was the one that always did all the vocals. And but he wanted to sing, so we wanted him to add his little flavor to it.
Nice. I love it. When I listen to you guys, I get a little bit of a throwback feeling to what I would call the golden years of metalcore and things of that sort. Was that kind of a thought process you were kind of aiming for? Because I think that there are.
So I think it's just because I'm old. And
Yeah, I think because we're just old guys.
So I just write stuff that I thought, sounded cool to me. But I came up on that. Killswitch Engage is my favorite band. And so I kind of write similar riffs to them. But no, there wasn't really any, intention behind it. Like, oh, we want to bring back metalcore. It was, no, we're just writing stuff that we think sounds cool. And, but we hear that a lot. They're like, yeah, you guys, you sound like old metalcore. It's like, whatever, as long as you like it, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, I think that people do like it. I certainly like it. And I think that there's a little bit of a yearning for that because everyone's trying to reinvent the wheel now. Sometimes I think we gotta go back to what works,
Yeah. Be consistent. That's why I like Counterpart so much, man. Every one of their albums has been great. And
yeah, they're really good
since their inception. So they're like one of the solid ones out there, still going strong, even though Brendan likes to say a lot of things that make people mad. But I dig it.
Yeah.
Kyle, I gotta say, this is a little off topic, but I don't know if you've ever seen those memes that is like, if the guitarist in your metal band looks like this, you're about to die in the pit. But like, you totally like fit that meme right now. Like, you look like you work in cybersecurity, and so I'm
Kind of
like,
close. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just looking at you right now, I'm like, oh my God, like if you were on stage playing your riffs or whatever, people are going to die in the Sunmancer
Yeah.
pit because like you got the look of just like the most ordinary dude that's about to like just play the most brutal riff ever.
Well, he goes ham on stage too. I don't know if you've seen any of our recent live
No,
stuff
I
on
haven't.
Instagram, but he yeah, Kyle likes to do it up. He gets crazy on stage. So
Kyle,
yeah,
do you
check
have
him
a,
out.
do you
Yeah,
have
we
a,
put a
do you
bunch
have a
of
go-to, do you have a go-to move, Kyle?
just in Adam D
Head
does.
banging. Head banging. And then trying to move. I like being able to be goofy. You know,
Yeah.
like Adam D is a big inspiration for me. So I
Oh,
don't try
yeah.
to I don't want to just copy him, but the energy that he had on stage every time I've seen them live, it's like, oh, that's so cool. So I do like to move around the stage and interact with all the other bandmates while we're playing because the crowd gets into it more too. Also,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm blind like so far. Like my eyes are so bad, and I can't wear glasses while I'm playing if I'm going to rock out. So I can't see anything on stage. And like
That's a
like
blessing and
looking
a
out,
curse.
looking out into the crowd, like I can't tell how many people are there. It's just like a blob. And so I have to gauge whether or not I think people are into us on how loud the response is. Like I can't make eye contact with anybody. I'm gonna squint. Like actually one of our shows, like on this last tour we did with August Burns Red, I don't know what happened, but could have sworn I was in tune. We started our set, and the way that the set goes is on this one is the song. The first song ends, then we immediately go into a new song. And as soon as we started the first song, like something sounded like shit in my in ears. It's like one of us is out of tune. I don't know who it is. So I ran back to because I got a Kemper and the foot switch on the ground, and I could not read the tuner on stage. Like I'm squinting, like getting on my knees. It's like, fuck it, I can't fix it. So I'm just gonna. Hopefully, the sound guy will notice which one of us is off, and he'll turn us down. And yeah, I ended up having to do 2 songs like that because I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, it was me. And so after the second song, we had the break. I was finally able to put my glasses on and then look at the tuner, and it's like, oh, my
It
G
was all
string, my
you.
low G. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
It,
pretty.
it's always
Yeah,
the
pretty that one.
it's always the younger brother, right, Justin?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
always
all
it's,
good.
it's
Just messed
always
everything
perfection.
up.
He just couldn't see anything.
Yeah, so I have to get contacts or something.
Yeah.
it might be time. It might be time.
Yeah. That is crazy.
And-
You've never had contacts. I always forget about that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you don't like contacts. You always wear glasses.
Yeah, I tried it once, and it's like that putting something in my eye. Ugh.
You should just do you should go like do you remember
Basic.
the early 90s when all these NBA players would wear goggles?
Oh,
With,
I
like,
had
the
a pair of those.
goggles
Yeah,
I had a pair, and
dude.
they're like
That'd be
elastic.
badass if you did that.
Just
with like a
Oh.
headband.
if
Man, just
if
go all
the
out, dude.
lead guitarist wears goggles, you're going to die in the pit. You're going to be buried right there.
Like I'm pretty
Oh,
ballsy
man.
on stage, but I don't know if I have the courage to do
Dude, you
that.
could
I
do
would
it,
look.
man.
I would
you
look
could.
so stupid.
That
You
should
should
be your
totally
guys'
do it.
like thing, like that.
Yeah.
Like Red Hot Chili Peppers. They got the sock and the naked thing or
Cock
whatever.
socks, yeah.
You guys, Kyle, you could be the goggles guy in the metal band.
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah. You will never
I
be
know
out of tune
exactly
again.
what glasses you're talking about. Yeah, never. Yeah, you're right about that.
If you do that and you guys blow up, we'll accept royalties.
Or
I got,
or you could lean extra hard into like the nerd aspect and wear like a lab coat and everything too while you have the goggles on.
Like a pocket
saying.
protector with some pins.
I had one lady come up to me after a show recently, and she was like, "You really are just rocking the dad look, aren't you?" Because I was like, "I don't know. It's like, is that a like should I be insulted? Is that a compliment?" And she's like, "Yeah, dad core." And I was like, "Thanks."
You are
Maybe she was
dad.
turned on by it. Who knows? Might have to
Be my
start beating
daddy.
them away.
Cullen, is it time for top 5?
Well, I'd love to talk about the
yeah,
music
go.
videos real quick if
Oh,
we
yeah.
can, because the music videos you guys have put out have been fantastic.
Thank you.
I think they're really slick looking, and I
Are
love
you
you guys.
who we talked to? I think we talked to one of you guys. I think one of y'all reached found our video through a boost we had. It might have
Yeah,
been.
that was me.
I think it
Yeah,
was you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember
that was
exactly what I said, but like the old like rundown warehouse or old like creepy mansion that's like probably an old plantation. That kind of playing music in that kind of setting just looks so nostalgic to me, and it still looks metal, man.
Yeah, that was actually my in-laws' farm, like an abandoned house on their farm, and they were just like, yeah, if you want to use it. So we filmed that video Revolver in like, what was it, January? So it was like
Yeah, it's like the second week of January.
it was like 15, 20 degrees outside, and we were
Oofta.
filming that, and it was unbearably cold, but we rocked it out. Kept ourselves. We had like little tiny space heaters in there and a generator going, and our guitarist Jeremy brought little heating pads for all of us, and everyone was just rubbing them on their nose the whole time. But no, it was great. Justin West, the guy that did that video, and he did our Chasm Darkly video, as well as like he went on tour with us with those 5 dates we did with ABR and Human Mouth, and did a bunch of recap videos and live stuff. Like he's like the sixth member. He's definitely helped us out a lot. He's definitely helped us with like the visual aspect of what we're going for, and we couldn't ask for anyone better than what he's been doing for us.
That's
Yeah,
killer.
we're really
I like
lucky
that.
to have him.
I like that. The only other thing I really wanted to ask was, did you feel really influenced to make heavy music based off of your geography? Because Mason and I, our favorite bands come from especially the Georgia area.
Oh, really?
I don't know what it is. It's something down there in the water, but it just seems like every single one of Mason and I's favorite heavy bands comes from Georgia. Curious if like you guys were super influenced by heavy music that was around you, local bands and stuff like that kind of came up, or
I liked,
or is it just happenstance?
Yeah, what do they got in those peaches?
Yeah, I love those peaches, that's for sure. But I was a really big fan of Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child. That was like,
Oh, hell yeah.
Big.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that was just an inspiration for me, because that was like one of those just crazy, like, same with like Glassjaw, Everything You Ever Want to Know About Silence. When I first heard both of those albums, it just like blew my mind, because just something so fresh and new and wasn't like anything else coming out at that time. For me, at least. I don't know about Kyle. I don't know if he really dug Norma Jean like that, or if he really liked a lot of the Georgia bands from back then. But we didn't really play, like, we weren't really big like in that scene with like Norma Jean or the Chariot. Like, we know guys that were in those bands. Like, I think you guys did a podcast with Brandon from I Am Terrified, which we're trying to do some like dates with him. And I totally forgot he was in Chariot for a while. But yeah, he was in a band called Written in Red when we were a local band, when we were in Irony Massacre, with Stephen Harrison, who I guess was in Chariot. He was in Fever 333. So we definitely have a lot of old connections with guys from way back when. It's just kind of lost touch with a lot of these guys, just because we started doing our own thing with family and careers, and trying to pick back up. It's just kind of tough, because a lot of those guys are just kind of unreachable now. And you don't want to be like DMing these people on Instagram, like, hey, you remember when we used to do this and do that? Like, oh, I got a band again, but I don't know.
I can about guarantee you, at least from Mason and I talking to him, not a single one of them would be upset if you reached out to them, especially if you had some sort of connection back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what happened with ABR. And Kyle messaged JB, and we haven't talked to him in years. And JB he's been very supportive of our band. And you saw what he brought us out on tour for like 5 dates. So, and he's definitely helped us out a lot, as just throwing our name out there. I mean, Kyle went and did a guitar spot on Defender on our last date of the show. So that was pretty cool.
Fun.
I mean, seeing Kyle jamming with August Burns Red on their live set.
Yeah,
But
you can't beat that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes or breaks a band, especially early on. Just getting with the right people. We've had a lot of conversations with a lot of artists that say that's the biggest struggle, is just trying to get on that billing so that you can get heard by a couple of different people that you otherwise, or your audience, I should say. So cool. Should we move into top three most influential albums for each of you?
Sure.
Sweet. All right. Well, you can go in whatever order you want, and you can go either brother first. It doesn't matter to us. So
You want to go first, Justin?
I mean, I can go first. I mean, I kind of like named out some of the stuff that I already is a big influence, but you said three.
Yep.
Probably would be Glass Jaw, Everything You Ever Want to Know About Silence,
Oh
Deftones, Around the Fur,
yeah. Ooh.
and third one. Probably Vision of the Disorder, Imprint. Just because it was just like such a heavy album that like got me into like doing these type of screams that I do now. I mean, all three of them. I mean, of course, when I first heard, My Own Summer, that just blew me away. I never heard anything like that. And just hearing Chino with his little yoga breath singing to like screaming. I mean, it was just, it just blew my mind,
I've never heard it. Is that an original term by you? Yoga breath
No,
singing?
I mean, I saw that in a comment like, years ago, and I thought it was clever. So I actually never even said that before until right now. It was in my head, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna say it right now.
That's a great line.
It makes sense.
It does.
Totally.
It definitely does.
I love it.
I love it. So
that's a sick list.
Listening through those, I mean, those are obviously all three have some killer vocalists. Did you find your vocals naturally, or did you struggle and claw and try to figure it out for years before you really nailed it?
I was in like some high school garage bands where we cover because I'm 40. I just turned 41. So I mean, I've been doing this stuff since like the late 90s. So when I was in high school, I was doing like Limp Bizkit and like Korn and Stains covers and then Deftones stuff. And I wasn't good at screaming. I remember I was on a three-way call with the dudes that I was in the band with, and they like fired me, or they kicked me out of the band because they didn't think I was good at all. And I just kept working at it. And then I think I got back with them like months later, and like, oh man, you can scream now. And I don't know, I guess something clicked. But I mean, that was when I was like 17 years old. So I mean, and I just been doing that. And I don't have like a weird, like, I don't blow my voice out like Kyle can say. I mean, I'm like a quiet screamer. Like I actually probably sing louder than I scream. And I just more or less get more of a headache than anything if I'm screaming for a long period of time. So I'm able to control it and do variations without having to worry about messing up my throat or whatever. And I don't know if it's just from like just practicing all these years. Because I mean, I wasn't really active doing this stuff like for 13 years, but I was always like, just singing along or screaming along to. What are you laughing about, dude? But yeah, I don't know. It was just.
Were you screaming in your car? Is that normally?
Yeah,
where
I
you
do. I
it?
mean, I do a lot of that. Yeah, I'll scream a lot in my car, just because it's like the time you get by yourself,
Sure.
Or at least in my, because I can't really do that around I could around my wife and kids. Like I'm actually like, we're in the middle of recording like a new demo right now. And it's like, every time I get like a break, or I have to like stay up real late at night to like do vocals, because it's just, well, I'm not going to go up here and start screaming while my kids and my wife are gone. So, but yeah.
I love it. That's great. All right, Kyle.
All right. So one of them would have to be Toxicity by System of a Down. Of
course.
That's what got me into playing guitar. I remember hearing Chop Suey for the first time. Like, what is this? I really want to learn how to play it. So I begged for a guitar for Christmas. I think this was my 16th birthday, Christmas. And my dad actually got me one. The next one would be Alive or Just Breathing by Killswitch Engage.
Yeah,
That's
for
what got
sure,
me
man.
into metalcore. They're my favorite band of all time. I love that band. And then probably Miasma by the Black Dahlia Murder.
For
Just the
sure.
type of riffing that Brian Eschbach did on that, with like the triplets and the gallops that he would play on all those songs, and it was so heavy and groovy. And then Trevor, rest in peace. Man, such a heavy vocalist.
Yeah, dude, I can definitely see where you get your influence from. At least just listening to you, it comes through those bands and bands like that. That's killer. Definitely guitar centered bands, I would say, where the guitar is really what's holding up everything, and then everything else is just kind of like wonderful, delicious little side dishes, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a lot of bands now are trying to do the like super extremely difficult guitar runs, and like Rings of Saturn. I could never play anything like that, or Polyphia. I can never play anything like that. I just like to have fun, do solid riffing. And I mean, I consider myself more of a rhythm guitarist anyway, but I've always focused on being a really tight player, and that's what I've always practiced. And I like to think that I'm tight, so I think that it shows in our material.
Yeah, it definitely does. Very, very clean, angular guitars is great. I love it.
Thanks, man.
And I think there's room for bands that want to go super proggy and want to diddle around all over the guitar, but like there's also space for people who are more linear with their focus of guitar as well, right? Yeah, I dig it. Killer. All right, what would you guys like to plug?
I mean, we can plug our Instagram and our YouTube. Yeah,
Spotify too. Go to Spotify. Listen to us on Spotify.
Yeah,
follow us
have
on Spotify. That's what we really need.
Yeah, we have 3 music videos on Descender, Revolver, and Chasm Darkly on YouTube. We got a bunch of live stuff that was just taken.
Nice.
Yeah, a little recap of Kyle up on stage with ABR as well. That was cool. Nice. And then we got Spotify. We're actually going to be releasing another single in a couple months, probably about 2 months, probably another music video as well. We're trying to figure that out. It seems to be a lot easier to do videos now, because we'll have like old friends from broadcast days, like, you guys have exactly 3 more videos than you ever had with broadcast. And you guys are signed. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess it just seems to be a little bit more, it's just, you can do it a lot easier now. People like our buddy Justin has the gear to do it, and he's not charging an arm and a leg for that kind of stuff. Same with Pat. I mean, he has, he just has great gear and experience with producing and mixing and mastering and helping us put together these songs that you guys hear. And I mean,
it's
like,
nice when you marry into a family with abandoned houses too, right?
Yeah. Or a farm. I mean, that's the Chasm Darkly. That was done on my in-laws' farm, and that whole metal, we're all frolicking around shredding. That was like right across the street from their farmhouse.
I like the thought process, or the image that just brought to my head. Frolicking while meddling.
Yeah, we got Kyle. We got some video of Kyle frolicking around. That's some B footage.
That's killer. Well, sweet. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, sure. So, before we did Sunmancer, I actually tried out for the WWE, and you can find this. Yeah, you can find this on Google. If you just Google my name, but there's an audition video where my wrestling name was the Garbage Man, and my shtick was that I hate garbage and I kicked ass. They weren't really into it though. So
why do you think they weren't into it?
I think the whole eating garbage thing. They were into me kicking ass. I'm 6'5", but that was believable. But I guess the garbage bit wasn't. But yeah, if you want to see me in a leotard, just Google my name.
That is
Oh God,
the
I'm on this
thing
right now.
Yeah, this is the
Eating
thing I wanna see
garbage.
for sure. Yeah. I love
Was
it.
it was it
That's a
partly
great
because
story.
like Oscar the Grouch kind of already took that, like stole that thunder of the whole eating garbage thing? Like, that was like his shtick. So maybe they were like, all right, with the eating trash on TV is just like it's already been taken. Oscar the Grouch has
Yeah.
got that.
Well, he was a big influence for me.
Oh, I bet.
Oscar the
Yeah.
Grouch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you try out any other aliases?
No, it was just the garbage man, and I wanted a prop of having like a garbage can. I don't know if you guys remember old, when it was WWF, like
Folding
they would
chairs and stuff? Yep.
beating the shit out of each other with trash cans and chairs and ladders. So I wanted mine
Yeah.
to be the trash can.
Dude, that's
But who
good.
knows? Maybe if Sunmancer doesn't work out, I'll try again as the garbage man.
I mean, might as well.
You can
I mean,
battle Andy from Every Time I Die, or it used to be Every Time I Die.
mean,
the Garbage
nothing.
Man versus the Butcher, right? Isn't that his name, the Butcher?
Yeah, the
Oh,
butcher.
That's right. That's right.
I'm
That's right.
we're definitely gonna go find this video this audition tape because I'm excited. I have to see this. Have to see it.
Old Gumby,
Cullen is a
skinny,
big fan of men in leotards.
I love it. I paid for it
lanky tall
sometimes.
guy in leotards with a trash can trying to eat garbage.
It's
Yeah.
right
Like-
up my alley. If you knew me, you know.
Starting
Right.
to know now.
It was right up the alley, right?
Yeah. See, now you're starting to follow along. I like it.
There we go. Great. Well, guys, thank you so much for chatting and hanging out and talking about some of the new music. We're super stoked to see what kind of happens. Obviously, I would imagine you guys' like career at this point is like a little different than what like things would have turned out in like 2009, where obviously again like you guys are playing maybe a few shows here and there, but we're super excited. Hopefully, you guys end up in the Midwest at some point. We'd love to see you guys.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to go out there.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for thank you.